Hey, guys, come and have a look at this.
You got something?
Yeah, now. Wow. So here, look at that.
What the hell is that?
It's exactly the same signature as we saw when we found this tomb.
It's a void.
It's a void, and it's 12 feet beneath us.
Are you saying there's another level here?
Hey, the geophysics was right last time, and this time it's indicating we've got more below here.
This is a sensational development. We've discovered that here, 12 feet beneath the treasury, is a long-lost tomb. And now, 12 feet deeper, there may well be another.
So the reason they didn't cut down into the floor is because there's something down there.
Because there's something else going on.
So we're not even done in here, and the mysteries of Petre continue. And also, if this is another level of tombs, think about what that could mean for the rest of this site. I mean, it might go down that far everywhere.
It very well could. Look, we know in some places, just standing out on the surface here, you can just barely see the tops of doors.
Right.
How deep it goes, nobody knows yet.
Right.
We've known for ages that there's a dearth of information about the early Nabatean world.
Yes.
We saw a glimpse of them at Sela, we get a glimpse of them in a text, but it goes centuries without any real meaningful information.
And then it just seems like Petre arrives out of nowhere.
Absolutely, and so probably we just haven't gotten deep enough yet.
Right. That whole story of the Nabateans who would in time build this treasury could be right under our feet.
Certainly the beginnings of it.
Yeah.
So, see everybody here this time next year?
Yeah.
Got a deal.
Dude, amazing. Amazing. As always, Dickie,
Pleasure.
a pleasure.
Glad we got you around, Bates.
Future excavations will have to tackle the level below our feet. But as for the mysterious tomb we're standing in now, we have to wait for the results of Dr. Kinnairds' OSL test to confirm its age, which may shed light on the treasury above. While we wait, I'm left wondering about the most important mystery of all, namely, what happened to the Nabatean civilization that built Petre? Where did they go? To seek the answer, I leave Pierce Paul and stride further into the ancient city. While the treasury is the most famous building at Petre, it's not the only one revealing the secrets of the Nabateans. High up on a ridge just at the edge of town is another structure, one that may reveal the fate of the city's builders. Waiting in an epic ruin is archaeologist Matthew Vincent.
This is something different.
Well, we try to keep you on your toes.
What is this place?
Welcome to the Petre Church.
The Petre Church.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if memory serves, the Nabateans were not Christian. They were around pre-Christianity being a thing.
Exactly. So the Nabateans are here well before Christianity.
Right.
The Nabateans were the most potent force in this region for hundreds of years, but nothing lasts forever. In 106 AD, the growing Roman Empire annexed the Nabateans in a bloodless takeover that ended their autonomy.
And then something spectacularly bad happened. A massive earthquake happens here in 363 AD.
How massive?
It's basically the end of the Nabateans.
Really? The city is just destroyed?
Totally destroyed.
Once the Romans convert their empire to Christianity in 380 AD, new building projects take on a decidedly different focus.
So we can imagine that when they come back and they rebuild here, they rebuild Christian places.
Right. All the pagan temples are tumbled down and destroyed. And so when Petre gets rebuilt, it's a Christian town.
And they just build church after church after church.
Okay, and so this one is built when?
It started in the 5th century.
And we have these really beautiful mosaics all over the floor. These are awesome.
There are some fantastic mosaics.
And these are what, animals?
Yeah, we've got a lot of animals. We've got depictions of daily life as well, but the animals are just fantastic here. But you know, it's not just these mosaics that you're seeing here. One of the most amazing things we found is literally just in that corner over there.
And what was found there?
The largest cache of writing in the entire area of Petre. 140 scrolls found in that back corner over there.
Wow, that's amazing, because there is virtually nothing written here, right?
A handful of inscriptions that have been found across the entire site.
And that's it?
And that's it.
And what's on them?
Well, that's the problem right there.
Can you not read the language?
Oh no, it's all in Greek.
Okay, right. That would have been the administrative language at the time.
Exactly.
So the problem is what?
This entire church was destroyed in the 7th century through a fire. Those scrolls got cooked.
They got toasted.
Yeah.
Okay, so were they destroyed?
a process of what's called carbonization. Imagine you just barbecue them. They're smoked scrolls.
Right, they don't fall apart, but they're just kind of briquettes. Miraculously, though, some of the 140 scrolls survived the fire and were actually able to be unrolled and read.
They're mostly legal texts. They describe contracts, wills, inheritance, just parts of daily life.
Which is still hugely valuable, right?
It's incredible. What we can understand about Petre in the 5th, 6th, 7th centuries is all thanks to these scrolls.
Right. But many of the scrolls were too burned to be legible. The charred texts were reduced to fragments, layers of papyrus fused by heat and smoke.
If we could read more of these scrolls, we could really begin to understand what became of the Nabateans, what became of their world. And at this moment, we have a team that are actually trying to read these scrolls.
How do you read burned scrolls?
With some really serious technology.
The answer to the Nabateans' final mystery may lie in the remains of the scrolls from Petre. So I bid a fond farewell to the desert and fly to where they're currently being studied, 6,000 miles away in, of all places, Lexington, Kentucky. It's home to the University of Kentucky's state-of-the-art EDUCE lab, which is where I meet the professor that's been leading the team analyzing the most damaged Petre scroll fragments, Brent Seals.
Josh, let me introduce you to the Petre papyri.
This is them.
This is them.
Wow, look at that.
We have some varieties here, but here's a piece that is especially delicate. Take a look.
So this is an actual fragment of papyrus from Petre. This is at least 1,500 years old?
Yeah.
Oh my word.
This is about as fragile as the wings of a butterfly.
Right, just thousands of tiny, tiny flakes.
Thousands.
If I saw this, like, on the ground, I would ignore it. I mean, this just looks like, it looks like a piece of bark almost.
You can't really see that there's writing there. It's really hard to see with the naked eye.
Yeah, not at all. You're telling me there's writing on that?
There's writing on almost every one of these fragments, yeah.
And we're lucky enough to see how Professor Seals is deciphering what's written on them. He prepares the next two fragments for analysis, one the size of a postage stamp, the other of a grain of rice. The experimental process that he's developed begins with a visual analysis under a microscope that's a wee bit more powerful than the ones in your high school bio lab. Oh, is that writing?
That's writing.
That's ink, right there.
That is ink. This fragment is actually made up of multiple layers all stuck together.
Wow. And there could be writing on all of those layers.
There could be writing on all of them, but we can only see the top one, right?
Right, so we're gonna need more tech than this.
Yeah.
The second fragment is minuscule by comparison to the first, so Brent makes a minor adjustment.
So, oh, look at that. That's probably, I would think that's maybe half of a delta, if this is Greek.
That fragment is like the size of an ant, and yet there's writing on it. This is like the ultimate jigsaw puzzle.
It's terrifically difficult.
Difficult is an understatement. Next, Brent brings our two fragments to a different station for an X-ray fluorescence spectrum analysis. This test will break down the specific elements used for the ink inside the fused scroll, which will then tell Brent how to read it. So, we're going to shoot X-rays at this thing, is that right?
That's right. This allows us to map composition of our sample, elemental composition across a wide area. So now we're scanning across the scroll surface.
In short order, the work is done.
So our scan's complete, and you can see we have our map encompassing the entire fragment.
And the areas we previously identified as writing are particularly revealing.
And the beautiful result there is it correlates really well with lead.
Lead. Okay, so this ink has lead in it.
Mm-hmm.
And is that good news in terms of the work that you want to do with these fragments?
No. It's great news, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because lead is very dense. In fact, you'll see these X-ray machines are shielded with lead.
Right.
So it gives you the ability to see the ink using X-ray, unlike pretty much any other element. I mean, it's a fantastic result.
Wow, okay. Lead is the ideal ink base for this process, which will help us reveal the writing not only on the outer layers of the fragment, but the ones hidden beneath as well.
The next step from here is to use X-ray that penetrates all the way through, and in fact, not just two-dimensional X-ray, but 3D X-ray. We call it tomography.
Tomography.
Yeah.
Okay. You got a machine for that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we have a big machine for that. Josh, meet the Phoenix.
Okay, how powerful are those X-rays?
Well, they can go through metal, rock, an engine block.
Me?
You, easily.
Anything.
Anything.
Okay.
The scroll fragments are placed in a special mount to keep them rock steady as the machine works. And then, Brent secures the shielded door.
Okay, we're gonna fire the X-ray once our detector is live.
So this is a live X-ray image.
That's right.
And there's our sample holder, and our fragment is in here somewhere, yes?
Yeah, it's the shadow you can see sort of outlined right there.
Okay.
As they rotate, the samples are bombarded with X-rays from two powerful emitters. The Phoenix creates thousands of X-ray snapshots from every angle, which will be combined to form 3D models of the scroll fragments. If everything works as it should, the end result will allow us to virtually separate the individual layers of papyrus, revealing lost writing from Petra recorded 1,500 years ago. After a matter of minutes, we gather around a workstation to view the results.
Okay, moment of truth. You ready?
Sure.
Let's see what we got.
Let's take a look at the model.
Oh, look at that! And that's fully manipulatable?
Yeah, so we can rotate and see it from all angles.
That's
Whatever we
insane.
need.
So yeah, you can see the fibers. If we circle around, we come to the other side. You can see a unique pattern on the other side.
Right. And
And
this here, is this ink?
Yeah, that's ink.
This is writing right here.
That's writing.
That's really wild.
So now if we look at the smaller fragment, which we can peel back and look at the inner layers,
Right.
the top layer matches exactly what we saw in the optical microscope and in the XRF. You can
Right.
see,
We have this kind of, part of a letter here, maybe.
peel that away and you can see the other piece.
That's underneath it.
That's underneath. That's a hidden layer, yeah.
That's a hidden layer with ink that's not visible
That's right,
to the naked eye.
yeah.
So nobody has laid eyes on this part of this fragment or that ink, that writing, in over a millennium.
It would be impossible.
This is a huge win. We've been able to separate the layers of a scroll that were literally fused together by fire and read the ink on multiple layers.
We are the first people to look at it right now.
That's time travel right there.
It is, and if you think about putting together an entire row of text and then an entire page, we will be the first people to read that.
The fragments we've deciphered here are consistent with others that Brent has run through this new process. The results can already help us learn more about the fate of the Nabateans after being absorbed by the Roman and then Byzantine Empire.
So let's talk about what's on these fragments. What are we seeing here?
This is Greek. It's the official language of the Byzantine Empire. It's what they were using. This is not unexpected. What is surprising is that there are Greek translations of Arabic and Aramaic names in that Greek written language.
This discovery means that the Nabatean language, a distinct dialect of Aramaic, was still in use hundreds of years after the fall of the Nabatean kingdom.
So even though what we're seeing in these fragments is Greek, they are clearly translating these other languages that are presumably then being used still in this place.
That's right. They haven't left those languages behind. They've translated those names into Greek.
Right.
And so you can see the influence of all three of those languages, Greek, Aramaic, and Arabic.
Far from being crushed by their conquerors, Nabatean language and culture appear to have endured later into history.
We often ask this question, what happened to the Nabateans? Where did they go? But it seems like maybe they haven't gone anywhere. They're just part of the new culture.
Yes. What tells the story is the language. It's the crossroads, and you can see it in the language.
Right, we're seeing the people themselves in this writing.
That's right.
And the Nabateans and their language is still a part of that.
Yep, absolutely.
And they remain with us today. Nabatean Aramaic developed into modern Arabic, which is not only spoken by 400 million people, but produced the system of numbers that you and I still use today. So every time you count to, well, anything, we have the Nabateans to thank for it.
The ink doesn't lie.
It does not.
At their height, the Nabateans flourished because of their skills at survival. They were, after all, a people able to turn the desert green. Now, after examining these scroll fragments from Petra, we see evidence that the Nabateans' culture was just as resilient. Even today, their language, their mastery of the desert, and their traditions can be seen in the Bedouins that still call Petra home. As for the city's original residents, we now have the results of Dr. Kinaird's optically stimulated luminescence test. He was able to confirm that the burial under the treasury was likely from the first half of the 1st century BC. We also now have results on the pottery, which is dated to the exact same time. This means the treasury above must have been built after this time period, likely coinciding with the reign of the powerful Nabatean king Aratos IV. This is the strongest evidence yet of the treasury's true age. And there's more. Surveys of the tomb show that it is perfectly aligned with the entrance to the Sikh. This is a clear indication that our tomb was built for an important family, and quite possibly a royal one. This points to one distinct possibility for the treasury's purpose, as the lavish final resting place of King Aratos IV. 2,000 years later, though, it is a monument not to a single man, but to an entire lost civilization, which, it turns out, isn't so lost after all. So if you make your way to Petra, and you should, be sure to look up at the stunning rock-carved ruins, but also down, because just beneath your feet, more answers and more wonders are just waiting to be found.